Good morning to all of you. I am standing in front of you to present the topics regarding forces, moments and couples regarding the subject engineering mechanics. So first of all, before going to that, I will give a short introduction about what is called as engineering mechanics. So engineering mechanics is nothing but it is the study of behavior of objects under rest condition or motion by the forces acting on it. So I will give a short example for it. So if you consider an object A like this, you consider an object A like this, object A, let us assume the weight of the object is W is equal to 100 newtons. So now if you are going to study about the object, means as what are the forces acting on it. So you can easily tell that the weight of the object 100 newtons will be always acting vertically downwards. So W is equal to 100 newtons. So that is the only force which is acting on an object which is in rest condition. So if it is moving, then what is the force causing the motion? So what is the acceleration? What is the velocity? What is the displacement? Like that we can calculate various other parameters for a moving object. This is called as the engineering mechanics. So then we can go for directly our topic, force. So regarding force, so how can you define a force? So force is nothing but it is a physical agent which changes or tends to change the state of rest or of uniform motion of an object upon which it acts. So how can you define a force? So again you consider a same object like that. Let the weight of the object be 500 newtons. 500 newtons. Now we are going to apply a force here. So force is nothing but it is an agent which changes or tends to change the state of rest or of uniform motion of an object upon which it acts. So we are considering an object which is weighing 500 newtons. So we are going to apply an external force here. So let us assume the magnitude of the force is 50 newtons. 50 newtons. So now you can easily tell that this applied force is very low when compared to the weight of the mass, weight of the object. So this 50 Newton force is not able to push this object A. So this will try to push the 500 Newton object, but it is not so. So only it is called as force is an agent which changes or tends to change the state of rest. So we can consider another one case, the same object weighing 500 newtons. So it is acted upon by a 1000 Newton force. A 1000 Newton force. So in this case, the force which is applied, the applied force is 1000 newtons, which is very much higher than the 500 Newton object. So now the object will move towards the right hand side direction. The motion will be in right hand side direction. The motion will be towards the right hand side direction. So this inbuilt force is very much higher than the weight of the object. So the object tends to move toward the right hand side direction. So this is called as the definition of the force. Then we can go for the next thing. Actually the physical quantity force has some characters inbuilt in it. So what are the characters of force? Number one is magnitude. Number two is line of action, and number three is direction. So these are the three parameters, that is characteristics of a force. Number one, magnitude. How can you define a magnitude of a force? So in the force definition itself I gave some examples. So like that 100 Newton, 1000 Newton, etc. So like this. So in this numerical value 100, 1000 represents the magnitude of the force. The numerical value represents the magnitude of the force. And what is called as second one, what is called as line of action. So line of action, so I gave one or two cases for you, examples for the introduction of force. So I gave one object which is weighing 100 newtons. It is acted upon by a force of another 1000 Newton magnitude. So we are representing the force along the right hand side positive direction, that is x axis positive direction. So if we extend this line like this, if we extend the line of action of the force like this represents the line of action of a force. That represents the line of action of the force. That is nothing but it can be easily defined as an infinite straight line through which a force acts. An infinite straight line through which a force acts is called as line of action. Then come to the next one, direction. So based upon direction, so I want to give some more examples for you. So what are the examples I will tell to you now? So direction. So what are the basic directions of force? First of all, you are going to imagine the coordinate systems. So I am going to draw an xy coordinate system for you. So if a force is acting in the first quadrant, this is the first quadrant, that is angle 0 to 90. This is the second quadrant, that is angle 90 to 180. This is the third quadrant, which represents angle 180 to 270, and this is the fourth quadrant, which represents angle 270 to 360. So now it can be split up into these two components like this. So in this, both the components are positive. If you consider a force is acting in this quadrant, that is first quadrant, it has both components positive. It can be split up into two components like this, both are positive. The vertical component is positive and the horizontal component is also positive. And you come to the second quadrant, so here the force can be split up like this. So the horizontal components become negative, the vertical becomes positive. And in the third quadrant, both the components will become negative. The horizontal is moving towards left, so negative x-axis, so negative. So negative y-axis, so negative. Both of the components become negative. And in the fourth quadrant, if you come here, the horizontal is towards right, so it is positive. So the vertical is negative, it is moving downwards. So like that. So the direction of a force can be determined by the location of these components, sigma v and sigma h. This is horizontal components. Shortly it is called as summation of all the horizontal components sigma h, and the vertical components can be called as sigma v. So this is having both the components positive. So it is located rightwards up, that is in the first quadrant. It is having the horizontal component negative and vertical component positive. So it is moving towards leftwards up. So it is in the second quadrant. So third one is the both components are negative. So it is moving leftwards down, that is the third quadrant. And the fourth case, the vertical component is negative and the horizontal component is positive. So now the force is moving rightwards down, that is nothing but it is located in the fourth quadrant. So this is how we can calculate the direction of forces. Then we can go to the classification of basic classification and important classification of forces. So how all the force can be mainly classified. So classification of force, regarding that we are not going to see it in detail because we need to complete the moments and couples, and so I will give a brief introduction about the classification of forces now. So first of all, basically the force can be classified into coplanar and non-coplanar forces. Coplanar means if a number of forces acting on a body lies in a single plane, then it is called as coplanar force. In the second case, the non-coplanar force, if the number of forces acting on a body does not lies in a single plane, then it is called as non-coplanar forces. In the same way, you can come to the next topic, concurrent force. What is called as concurrent force? Concurrent means if the number of forces acting on a body intersects at a common point like this. Like this. This is, you assume this is F1, this is F2, and this is F3. So like this. If the three forces acting on an object intersects at a common point, then it is called as concurrent force. The next one, non-concurrent force. The same thing, if the number of forces acting on a body does not meet at a common point, then it is called as non-concurrent force. If two forces are acting like this in an object, so these two forces are not meeting at a certain point. So this is called as non-concurrent forces. Then collinear force. So what is called as collinear force? Collinear force means, as the name indicates, you can easily tell that what is a collinear force means. You draw a line. This represents the line of action of one force. This represents line of action of one force. You assume this is F1, F2, F3 and F4. So like this, F1, F2, F3 and F4. So if many number of forces are having a common line of action, then it is called as collinear force. If more than one or two forces are acting on a same line of action, then it is called as collinear force. And you can see that all the directions are towards right. If we change any one of the direction towards left like this, then it is called as unlike collinear force. If all the directions are in same, it is called as like. if one of the force is having an opposite direction, then it is called as unlike collinear force. So collinear force is classified into two again. One is like and the other one is unlike. If the number of forces acting on an object has a common line of action and same direction, then it is called as like collinear force. And in the same way, if it is having one is having a different direction, then it is called as unlike collinear force. Then parallel forces. So in non-concurrent forces, there is a one thing called as a parallel forces. So what is called as a parallel forces? If number of forces acting on a body, has parallel lines of action, if these line of actions are parallel to each other, so it is called as what is parallel forces. If three forces are acting on an object, their line of action are parallel to each other, then it is called as parallel forces. And again one step you can go, these three directions are towards right, same direction, so it is called as like parallel forces. It is called as like parallel forces. If any one of the force is changing its direction, like this, then what will happen? This is called as unlike parallel forces. Then we can go for we had a brief introduction about the forces, and we can now see about how we can resolve forces. If 4 or 5 forces is acting on a system, how we are going to resolve the forces. So for resolving forces, there are several methods. One is triangle law, second one is parallelogram law, then there is sine law. So like that we can use many laws for resolving forces and finding out its components and resultant. And as I mentioned earlier, we can use a triangle law, parallelogram law, sine law, a Lami's theorem, and a resolution of forces. So out of these 5, you can the first 2, that is a triangle law, parallelogram law, and sine law, depends on only if 2 forces are acting on an object. Only 2 forces are acting on an object, we can find out 2 concurrent forces are acting, means you can find out the resultant by using parallelogram law or triangle law. And if 3 or more forces are acting, what you will do? If 3 forces are acting and the object is in equilibrium condition, then we can use Lami's theorem for the finding out the resolution of forces. Then the fourth one, the last one, is resolution of forces, and that is mainly used for 3 and more than 3. If 3 and more than forces are coming in a system and it has concurrent forces, then we can apply resolution of forces. So how can you resolve the forces into some components? I have already given a small hint about that, but now we can see some points in detail. So you please assume a force like this, F. It is acting along the first quadrant, 0 to 90. So it is having how much? It is having 2 components like this. One is, this is horizontal component and this is vertical component. So you assume the angle of this force with respect to the x-axis is theta. So now what will happen? How will you derive this one? So you can easily tell that F cos theta. The horizontal component of any force is given by F cos theta, the force into its angle cos theta with respect to x-axis, and the vertical component can be told like this, F sin theta. This is how we are going to split a force. If n number of forces are coming like this, if one more force is coming like this, F1, you assume this as F1, and another one force is coming as F2, and we are going to calculate this angle is theta 1 and this angle is theta 2. Like this, you assume this is F1, this is theta 1. So in terms of that it is coming, and this is F2, this is theta 2. So you can split the components like this, F2 cos theta 2, and this is F2 sin theta 2. So like this you can split. So how to resolve this force means sigma h, summation of all the horizontal components. How we are going to summate? Summate means addition. Addition means what is the horizontal component of the force 1? F1 cos theta 1. F1 cos theta 1. What is the horizontal component of this force? This one. So it is negative. It is moving towards the left side. So it is negative. F2 minus F2 cos theta 2 minus F2 cos theta 2. Then that is all. You resolve. You give some values for this force and angles. You get the solution. And sigma v, summation of all the vertical components. How we are going to obtain this? This is F1 F1 sine theta 1 minus, this is F1, it is going upwards, so positive y axis, F1 sine theta 1, this is vertical force is going downwards, negative y axis, so minus F2 sine theta 2, minus F2 sine theta 2. So this is how you are going to find out the summation of horizontal and vertical components. Then how to find out the resultant of the force? The resultant is nothing but R is equal to root of sigma V square plus sigma H square. This is the equation for deriving the resultant of these two given forces. This is the resolution of the two given forces. And how to determine the direction of the resultant? It has a formula, alpha is equal to tan inverse of sigma V divided by sigma H. Alpha is equal to tan inverse of sigma V divided by sigma H. This is what is the direction of the obtained resultant force for the resolution, principle of resolution. Then we can go to the next topic regarding our subject, that is moment. So how can a moment be defined? How can a moment be defined? So moment is nothing but you can easily tell that it is a turning effect of an object. So you assume this is a door, and this is the axis of rotation. While you are pushing the door, you can feel that the door is rotating, it is moving along an axis, fixed axis. So if you apply the force at the external end only, the door will easily move like this. If you are applying exactly at the inner end, the door is having, it is very difficult to move the door. It will not be able to move the door because the force acting into the perpendicular distance only gives the moment value. So you assume a point A. You assume a point A, and you are going to apply a force of magnitude F, and let us assume the perpendicular distance between these two points be small d. Let us assume these points, the distance between the 2 points is small d. That is nothing but the perpendicular distance between the line of action of the force and the particular point. Now you can easily assume that the force is giving a clockwise rotation of the point. The force is giving a clockwise rotation of the point because the force is acting from the right hand side of the point A and it is moving downwards. So automatically it is moving, this force F is trying to pull this point, rotate this point clockwise like this. So it is called as a clockwise moment. And this is nothing but you can easily tell that moment about A, moment of the force about point A, moment of this force about point A can be easily derived as F, the force acting into the perpendicular distance. The force acting into the perpendicular distance will give the moment value. So if it creates a clockwise rotation of the point, it is called as a clockwise moment. In the same way, this point can also act upon by an anti-clockwise moment. You can easily tell that, you can easily compare that. So this is point A and a force is acting like this of same magnitude. So and you assume the same distance small d. This is case 2. This is case 2. So now there is a difference between these two cases. This is case 1 and this is case 2. So here the point is, the applied point is, the force application point is A. So this is the perpendicular distance. The force is not directly applied to the point, but it has the line of action of the force is d distance away from the point. So it creates a clockwise rotation. So come to the second case, the same point, it is applied by a force which is acting right hand side upwards. So this will tend to move the point in this direction. So it is anti-clockwise. So this is a clockwise moment and this is an anti-clockwise moment. And sign convention. So what are the sign convention you are going to implement means? So this is the moment of this force about point A. So since it is having clockwise moment, it is indicated as positive. The sign convention for clockwise moment is positive and the sign convention for anti-clockwise moment is negative. So if you find out the MA here, minus F into D, the minus sign indicates nothing but it is an anti-clockwise moment. So this is the sign convention for a moment. So now we can see a small theorem called as Varignon's theorem. After that we can go for some solved examples. So what is called as Varignon's theorem? So for stating a Varignon's theorem, I will represent a small example diagram for you so that it will be much easier for you to follow the remaining things. So here we are going to assume 4 forces like this. So all the forces are acting, you assume all the forces are acting at clockwise to create a clockwise moment. So let us assume this is F1, this is F2, this is F3 and this is F4, and you assume this is point A, the center point is O, the point is O, and you make this distance as D1, F1, D1, F2, this distance is perpendicular distance is D2, and this is D3 and this is D4, this perpendicular distance is D4. Now you are going to calculate the summation of moments of all the forces about point O. That is nothing but sigma MO, summation of moment of this system about point O. How you are going to calculate it? So if you assume point O, this F1 is clockwise, F2 is this is F1, it is clockwise, F2 is clockwise, F3 is clockwise and F4 is also clockwise. So we can easily put it as F1 D1 plus F2 D2 plus F3 D3 plus F4 D4. So this is nothing but F1 D1, F1 into perpendicular distance, F2 into perpendicular distance, F3 into perpendicular distance, F4 into perpendicular distance. All the things are having positive sign because all the 4 forces 1, 2, 3, 4, all the 4 forces are making what? Clockwise moment about the point O. Clockwise moment about the point O. So all the sign conventions are positive. So now what does the Varignon theorem states means this summation of moment about point O of all the forces is equal to the moment of the resultant through that point. You find out what does that means. The summation of moment about all the forces about point O is this value. It is equivalent to the moment of the resultant through that point. You calculate the resultant of the 4 forces. You find out the resultant of the 4 forces and you locate the resultant and you find out the resultant moment about the point O, and you find out the moment of the resultant about the point O, you will get the remaining things. It is nothing but it states that the summation of moment about point, any point in a system of forces is equal to the some moment of the resultant through that point. That's all. So it can be easily stated as sigma MA is equal to R into D. It states that everything. The summation of moment about any point in a system is equivalent to the moment of the resultant through that point. So this is what is called as Varignon's theorem. Now we can see some few examples, worked out examples regarding moment and calculation of resultant location. So example number 1. So it consists of 2 forces. Example number 1, it consists of 2 forces, 24 and 36 Newton force. This is 36 Newton force and this is 24 Newton force. So the system consists of 2 forces, one is 24 Newton and the other one is 36 Newton, and this the distance between the 2 forces is 12 meters. So now we are going to solve the resultant for these 2 forces and we are going to find out, you please mention this end as A and this end as B. So like this. So now you are going to find out the resultant in magnitude and direction, and then we are going to locate the resultant in the given system by the principle of Varignon's theorem and moment calculations. So how we are going to do means, first of all this system is having how many forces? One is the 24 Newton force and the 36 Newton force. 2 forces are there. Both forces are vertically upwards. Y positive and Y positive. There is no negative forces in the vertical component and also there is no horizontal components here. So now, sigma h solution, sigma h will become 0. Sigma h is equal to 0 because there is no horizontal forces in the given system. Then sigma v is equal to what? You add that summation of all the vertical components. So what are the vertical components here? 24 and 36. 24 means it is vertically upwards. This is also vertically upwards. So 24 plus 36, what is the value? 24 plus 36 is equal to 60 newtons. 60 Newton. Then you calculate the resultant in magnitude. R is equal to root of sigma v square plus sigma h square. Sigma v square plus sigma h square is equal to root of 60 square plus 0 square. So if you take the root, it will come as 60 Newton. 60 Newton. So we have calculated by using the resolution formula, we calculated the resultant is 60 Newton. Now we are going to calculate the angle. So angle is 90 because sigma h is equal to 0 and sigma v is equal to 60. If you substitute in the formula, what will happen? Alpha is equal to tan inverse of, what is the formula? Sigma v divided by sigma h. You can easily determine that alpha is equal to tan inverse of sigma v 60. 60 divided by sigma h is 0. So anything by 0 is infinity. So tan inverse of infinity is what? Tan inverse of infinity is what? 90. Alpha is equal to 90. So if you want, you can determine this one, because this is already in the component itself. You can easily find out that horizontal component is equal to 0. So R is having only vertical component, that is positive. Positive means vertically upwards, positive y axis. Then you want to locate the resultant force in the given system. In the given system, this is the problem, and in this given system, in the bar AB, you want to locate the resultant force of magnitude 60 Newton. How we are going to locate it means, we are going to just apply the Varignon's theorem. We are going to just apply the Varignon's theorem, sigma ma. We are going to calculate what? Sigma ma. Sigma ma. About what is that? Sigma ma notates means summation of moments about point A. Summation of moments about point, which is point A, this is point A, and you want to go to calculate the moments about point A. So this force 24 Newton is acting on the point A itself. It doesn't has any perpendicular distances. So this will be inactive. 24 into 0 becomes inactive. So 24 into 0 becomes inactive. So it is 0, value is 0, and then if you come to the next point B, so the other force is acting. So here what is the, with respect to point A, so if you assume this one, it is creating a anti-clockwise. You can see, you fix your hand in the point A, the force which is in the other end is moving upwards, right hand side upwards. So it is anti-clockwise. So anti-clockwise means our sign convention is negative. So minus 36 into 12. Minus 36 into 12. So the final result is sigma ma is equal to minus 432 Newton meter. Minus 432 Newton meter. How it comes means, it is having a negative. This 36 is a anti-clockwise moment. So 36 into 12. So the negative sign is made. Minus 36 into 12. The value is 432, and it is having a minus sign. The unit is Newton meter. The unit of force is Newton and the unit of distance is meter. So it multiplied as Newton meter. The sigma ma value is what? Minus 432 Newton meter. So with this, we are going to finalize the result. So we already know that according to Varignon's theorem, sigma ma is equal to R into D. So according to Varignon's theorem, we know that sigma, summation of moment about point A, is equal to the moment of the resultant through that point. So we have find out the value of sigma ma. So we are going to equal it to the resultant moment. So how we are going to equate it means, so you apply this value. Minus 432 is equal to, what is the R? You take it from here. R is 60. 60, and you are adding a minus sign, because if all the forces acting about point A in the given system makes a anti-clockwise moment, then automatically the resultant will also make an anti-clockwise moment. So you are adding sign in, negative sign in both sides. So into D. This D is nothing but the perpendicular distance of the resultant from the point of action. So now we are going to calculate D. D is equal to 7.2 meters. D is equal to how much? If you multiply it, divide it, you will get D is equal to 7.2 meters. So now you are going to fix, now you are going to locate the resultant in the given system. Where you are going to locate? So the distance we have, the distance between the perpendicular distance between the resultant and the point is 7.2 meters. So this 7.2 meters you are going to fix here. You know that the resultant is having sigma h is equal to 0. It is a vertical force. Vertical force also it is in a positive way. So you are going to fix the resultant at which direction, which distance? 7.2. So from this total is 12 meters. So you fix the resultant at 7.2 meters. R is equal to how much? 60 Newton. This distance is nothing but it is determined here, the perpendicular distance of the resultant from the point, 7.2 meters. So now we can apply the conditions and see whether the answer obtained is correct or wrong. So the summation of all the moment is having anticlockwise moment and the resultant is also having anticlockwise moment. So now you come to the resultant. So you apply the same moment about point A. So this is point A and you calculate the resultant is moving right hand side upwards. So it is having an anticlockwise moment and this distance is calculated as 7.2 meters. So our answer is right. So now we can move to the next problem with some multiple forces in a system. So next our system consists of 4 forces. So we can assume another one component like this, so which is consisting of 4 forces like this. So one is 10 Newton force, the other one is 15 Newton force, the other one is 20 Newton force, and the last one is a 35 Newton force, So this is our given system. You can divide the segment into some equal components A, B, C and D. So it is divided into 1, 2, 3 segments. So the distance between the segments is 1 meter, 2 meter and again 1 meter. So like this you can divide, give some values. So now how many forces are acting in the given system? 1, 2, 3 and 4. There are 4 forces in the given system and here now we are going to apply the same method for calculating the resultant solution. So whether there is any horizontal components acting, whether there is any horizontal forces acting in the given system? No, because this force is vertical positive, this is vertical negative, vertical positive. So there is no horizontal components in the given system. So it is sigma h equal to summation of all the horizontal components is equal to 0. Then come to the next point, sigma v, summation of all the vertical components. So this is a vertical component positive, so plus 10. So this is vertical negative minus 15. This is vertical negative again minus 20 and this is vertical positive plus 35. So this is 35 minus 35. So the answer will be sigma v is equal to how much? 10 newtons. The answer of sigma v is 10 Newton. Now we can find out the R, resultant. R is equal to, what is the formula? Sigma v square plus sigma h square. So you can easily locate that R is equal to root of 10 square plus 0 square, 10 square plus 0 square, and which implies if you take it out, R is equal to 10 newtons. R is equal to 10 newtons. Then you can find out the alpha angle. Alpha is equal to tan inverse of sigma v divided by sigma h. So is equal to tan inverse of 10 divided by 0. 10 divided by 0. So that is infinity. The same value, alpha is equal to 90. Alpha is equal to 90. The force is vertical. The force is vertical. Vertical, positive or negative. So you can decide from the sigma v. Sigma v is positive. So vertically upwards. So the force, resultant force we have found out, it is vertically upwards. Vertically upwards. So it is acting towards the right hand side of point A or to the left hand side of point A you want to calculate. So you can easily tell that if the resultant force is acting towards the right hand side of point A, vertically upwards, it creates a anti-clockwise moment. If it is acting left hand side of point A, it creates a clockwise moment. So from the sigma ma point calculation only, we can decide whether the resultant is acting vertically upwards, that is right hand side of point A, or left hand side of point A. So now we are going to apply Varignon's theorem here. Sigma ma is equal to, so sigma ma means summation of all the moments about point A. So 10 Newton force is acting on point A, so it doesn't has any perpendicular distance. So 10 into 0, it becomes 0. 10 into 0, it becomes 0. And the next one is with respect to point A, the next force is 15 Newton. 15 into 1. 15 into 1. So this 15 Newton is acting right hand side of A, it is going downwards, so clockwise. 15 into 1 plus 15 into 1. Then come to the third force. The third force is a 20 Newton force. 20 Newton force is having, again, it is acting towards right hand side of A, vertically downwards. So 20 into, what is the distance? 2 plus 1, 3. 20 into 3 plus 20 into 3 plus 20 into 3. Then there is one more force, the last force. What is nothing but it is acting right hand side of point A, but it is acting vertically upwards. So it creates an anti-clockwise. The 35 Newton force is acting right hand side upwards. So it is creating a anti-clockwise moment. So negative sign should be added. So minus 35 into 4. Minus 35 into 4. Minus 35 into 4. So now we calculate the remaining things. So it is 0, 15 plus 60 minus 140. Minus 140. Minus 75 Newton, minus 70 Newton meters. So like that it is coming. So now you are going to calculate the remaining things. So the negative sign indicates what? The sigma ma negative sign indicates what? The moment, the summation of all the moment about point A is what? Negative. Negative. So R is having a negative, that is anti-clockwise moment with respect to point A. So R is having sigma V, sigma h 0, sigma V 10. So it is a positive force, positive vertical force that is moving upwards. So it is to the right hand side of point A. It is to the right hand side of point A. Right hand side of point A means automatically it will come like this. It will create anti-clockwise moment. Anti-clockwise moment, and you want to find which distance it is located. 75. Sorry, its value is 65 Newton meter. And now we are going to calculate sigma ma is equal to R into D. The summation of all the moments about point A is equal to the moment of the resultant. So we are applying this one. Minus 65 is equal to what? Resultant is here 10. Resultant is 10. So R into minus R into D. So we are putting minus sign at both sides because the summation of moment about all the points is minus, that is anti-clockwise. So the resultant will also have an anti-clockwise moment. So we are adding a negative sign here. See, you can add a negative sign here. So the negative signs will cancel, and you automatically will get the value of D as 6.5. D is equal to 6.5 meters. That is this D indicates the perpendicular distance of the resultant from the point, application point A. So what is the distance? 6.5. Now we can locate the 6.5 here. So actually in the given system itself, what is the value? 1, 3, 4. So totally there is only 4 meters. Then how we are going to locate that one? You please listen here. So this is A and this is B. The distance is 4 meters. You are going to extend this. You are going to extend this to some extent. That is nothing but this is 4 means the difference is 6.5 means you are going to extend this one as 2.5. The resultant is acting. R is equal to 10. The value is given here. R is equal to 10. This distance is how much? 2.5. This distance is 2.5 meters. So now we can easily evaluate the problem, because R is having positive sigma v value, that is vertically upwards, and having negative moment, that is anti-clockwise moment with respect to point A. So now it is located 6.5 meters to the right hand side of point A, vertically upwards. So automatically with respect to point A, R is having anti-clockwise moment. So that's all about the solution of this problem. Then we can move to the next problem, which is having some horizontal forces. Now we are calculated only with respect to vertical forces. Now the same resolution we are going to see about horizontal forces. So we can consider a system which is having 4 or 5 horizontal forces. So the last problem we are going to discuss today is this one, system which is having horizontal forces. So you please design a system of your own. So I am going to draw a system which is having a 30 Newton force, a 40 Newton force, a 15 Newton force, a 25 Newton force, and a 60 Newton force, and a 60 Newton force, like this. So now we are going to give some values for the respective points. 1 meter, 1 meter, 3 meter, 2 meter, and 2 meters, like this. So this system is having how many forces? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. There are 5 forces. All the forces are horizontal. See, it is horizontal positive. This is horizontal positive. 2 horizontal positive forces and horizontal negative, and horizontal negative. 3 horizontal negative forces. So but for this system you will have a sigma h value. You will have a sigma h value. Sigma h is equal to what? 30 minus 40. 30, it is positive x axis 30, it is negative x axis minus 40, minus 15, then plus 25, minus 60. So you calculate the things. You first of all add all the positive components, 30, 55, then 65, 125. The value will be 70 minus 70 newtons. So the value will be minus 60 newtons. So then you go for the remaining things. Sigma v is equal to 0, because the system doesn't has any vertical forces. So sigma v value will be equivalent to 0. So and the sign indicates that the horizontal component, that is the resultant, is acting at some points but towards left. You can name this point as A, B, C, D and E. So that we want to calculate moment, means you can take sigma ma at just this point. Okay. So now you go to the next solution. You are going to calculate the resultant here. Resultant is equal to root of so and so. You can add minus 60 the whole square plus 0 square is equal to 60 Newton. You will get 60 Newton as the resultant, and then you apply sigma ma. You find out the summation of moment about point A. So this force will be inactive. Because this is acting through the point A. So there is no perpendicular distance. 60 into 0 becomes 0. 60 into 0 becomes 0. And 25. This 25 Newton, you come to the next force. 25 is with respect to A, it is acting upwards, right hand side. Upwards, right. So it is making a clockwise moment. So 25 into 2. 25 into 2 plus 25 into 2. Then you come to the third force, 15. With respect to A, it is acting anti-clockwise. So what is the magnitude? 15 into the distance is 2 plus 2 4. So 50 minus 15 into 4 minus 15 into 4, and you come to the next force 40. It is also having a anti-clockwise moment. So what is the distance? 4 plus 3 7 minus 40 into 7 minus 40 into 7, and then you come to the next one, the last force, which is acting at point E. It is a magnitude 30 Newton. It is acting right hand side above A, right hand side. So it is making clockwise moment. What is the distance? 7 8. So 30 into 8 plus 30 into 8 plus 30 into 8. So what is the value of sigma MA? So what is the value of sigma MA? This becomes 0, this becomes 50. You sum it, you solve it. 60 minus 280 plus 240 is equal to 50 minus 60 minus 40, 100 minus 50. Sigma MA is equal to minus 50 Newton meter. So that is the value obtained here. Sigma MA is equal to minus 50 Newton meter. So it tells that the summation of all the forces about point A gives a negative, that is anti-clockwise moment. So we are going to apply Varignon's theorem here. What Varignon's theorem says? Sigma MA is equal to R into D. Sigma MA value is negative since it is anti-clockwise. So automatically the resultant will also make a anti-clockwise moment. So what is the value? Minus 50 is equal to, what is the R? What is R? 60 into D. 60 into D minus, you should add a minus sign, because if the summation of all the moment is anti-clockwise, the resultant also will be anti-clockwise. So these two will have minus. So which implies D is equal to 50 divided by 60 is equal to 0.83 meters. So now you are going to fix the force here. What force? The resultant 60 Newton force. Where it is going to be fixed? So it is having a negative anti-clockwise moment. R is having anti-clockwise moment with respect to point A, since the sign indicates anti-clockwise. So we are going to, and the component of R you can see sigma h negative. Negative means R is moving towards left. So and it is not having any vertical component. R is a horizontal force moving towards left. So if it is above A only, it will be clockwise, anti-clockwise, negative. If it is below A, it will be creating clockwise moment. So the sign indicates negative. So R is anti-clockwise moment. R is having anti-clockwise moment with respect to point A. So where you can locate, what is the distance? What is the perpendicular distance of R from point A? That is nothing but 0.83. So you can fix R at this distance. R is equal to what is the value? 60 Newton. It is acting at this distance is 0.83 meters. So this is how we produce the result. Thank you.